Hey guys, welcome to Happywax TV, and let's talk horror. So, we have Axmaster.
Thank you.
We have Anton Mysterio, and we have myself.
The professor joins us.
Yes.
Professor Anton Mysterio. We have not seen him for a very long time.
Yeah.
He goes incognito a lot.
Yep. Now this is the first ever episode, so what we're trying to achieve here, what we're going to be doing is just discussion. So, we're going to each have our own perspective on topics that we pick, and you guys have sent your ideas in as well. So we're going to have many shows. So today we're going to start episode 1 with remakes. So and that's what we're going to talk about today. And if it starts a fist fight, then we've all been drinking.
May I say cheers to episode number 1 of this momentous historic occasion. I'm having a Smirnoff Ice black cherry soda, which is very tasty.
Very chemically induced Coke Zero for this guy.
And another non-apparent Coke Zero.
Yes. So we're talking remakes. So who wants to go first, and what are your ideas and perspectives? Actually, you know what? He's new to the show, so why don't you start us off and give us your perspective, and then we'll jump in and argue and call names, and it'll be great. No, I'm just joking.
All right, I think we should do this. Well, remakes. It's a hot topic. I've swayed over the years over remakes because they're very they're exciting when you hear that something's going to happen, and then you wait for it to come out. It comes out, and then you have this reaction, which usually doesn't.
Succola.
It doesn't capture what you remembered from the original movie.
Yep.
On that, and that was always my big beef with remakes. It's like, oh, why are you remaking this? And I was dead set against remakes.
Yep.
Because of the terrible quality or missing the point.
Yep.
As I would see them. But I've really changed that now. I've seen this in a new light. Even though I might not like the new movies that are remade, mm-hmm. I can see something that's there for it. And what I see now in remakes is that, hey, we've got this great idea, we've got a great concept for a film to show to new generations of film goers.
Yep.
Right? Where if you take a look at a movie that was made in the 70s or 80s, people would be like, oh my god, that's so old.
Yeah.
We're like 2016, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
We might even be in 2020 by the time this gets out there. You never know.
True.
And these generations, they might not appreciate what we saw in the golden age of horror, which is now being remade in today's cinema. And now it's, more CGIs in there. Yeah. It's a very different world, and we have to tell stories in a different way for a different generation. So now, for me, that's how I've turned from going, I hate remakes, to I can live with remakes.
I don't hate them as much.
Me?
Yeah, go man.
Okay, so I'm going to be more curmudgeonly about it. I still hate them, but I agree with Dr. Anton here. We did grow up in, I think, what was the era of, the golden age of horror, which was the late, mid 70s to the, early 90s. And something that comes to my mind is the original Frankenstein. There's something different about this generation now. I mean, like, if you say that to them, they'll be like, what? Mm-hmm. They don't know what, a lot of them don't know what it is. But when we were kids, mm-hmm. If you remade Frankenstein, and you would always compare it to the 1934, is it 34 or something version, with Boris Karloff. And so, I don't know, there's some films that so far have not been remade. Raiders of the Lost Ark, the original Jaws.
Which will never be remade.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which one? The original Jaws?
Jaws.
Yeah. Like, they messed with the thing. And I mean, I guess if you look at it from our perspective, that Thing remake sucked. Okay? It was like, you got your McCready character, but of course they threw a girl in there, mm-hmm. which they seem to have to do now. They have to put a girl in there because it's 2018. And the original 2 films were all guys, I mean, and I guess, we think the original thing is the one from the 80s, right? Or for 82, but there's still one before that from the 50s. So do the guys from the 50s feel the way we do about the 80s one? I don't know. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, that they've got to reinterpret it for a new generation. They keep these things going. It keeps interest in horror. But I do feel puristical about, like a purist about certain things. Like if they ever remake The Road Warrior, to me there was only one Road Warrior. Yeah. They did remake it, and the new ones are like, you can say, yeah, they're good, yeah, they're bad. I don't know. The new one should have been called Furiosa Road, because it was, the Road Warrior was a secondary character to this woman that was doing all the work.
Absolutely.
Which, just call it Furiosa Road. Why'd you even need the Road Warrior?
Yeah.
But to me, there was only one Road Warrior. That'll be Mel. There's only one Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones, and he's pretty hard to replace, And we've seen that as well with Solo. I mean, some people are iconic, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you remake The Good, the Bad, the Ugly? Well, you can, but why would you?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why not? I'm still of the feeling that you should show us something new.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's me.
Okay, so my feeling is, for the longest time, I hated remakes. I did, but okay. So my thing is with remakes is that if it's not broke, don't try and fix it. So when they remake classics like Dawn of the Dead, which I'm kind of eating my words, because the more I watch the remake, the more I kind of like it, even though I hate fucking running zombies. But I mean, Dawn of the Dead. The one that really dropped the ball on is Day of the Dead. Like, it's been remade 3 times now, and every fucking remake sucks. So, anyways, what I'm getting, and the Amityville Horror, which wasn't like totally bad, but it was still, I mean, it wasn't very good. And there's like Martyrs. They remade Martyrs. I don't fucking know why. Well, I know why, because they're just trying to get, $1. And they, a lot of times, like the Grudge movies, you know what I mean? Like, they're American made. The Ring movies, like, I get it, because some movies have to get Americanized, but even look at Rec, like Record, right? That Spanish, that awesome fucking Spanish. Like, they called it Quarantine, and it was a fucking horrible fucking remake. So I guess my qualm is, and there's some good remakes, again, like you said, but I mean, if we look at it realistically, the original Frankenstein is actually a remake, right? It is. Hard to believe, but it was a remake from like the 1800s. It was like one of the first films ever filmed was a supposed Frankenstein movie, which is a remake. And then we have The Fly, which was a remake with Goldblum, which was fucking awesome. And then we have The Thing, John Carpenter's, which was a remake, even though the first one was awesome and the second one was like one of the best films ever. Yeah. But then they made that abomination with the CGI, and it was fucking terrible. So I guess my biggest thing is if you're going to do a remake, don't make it for a cash grab. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that's because a lot of them, I think that's what they get made for. And I fucking hate when they ruin it. So I get your point, right? Where you have to bring it into this generation, which is cool. But I gotta agree with you where, well, both of you said the same thing. But if they fucking take it and ruin it with so many, like look at even Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, jeez.
I couldn't even fucking sit through it. Yeah.
Sorry, Freddy.
Yep. Or when they redid the Jason Friday the 13th, it was the fucking same thing.
Now, there are some that come out, like Rob Zombie's Halloween, the first one he did.
Yeah.
I think it's arguably almost better.
Yeah.
Because what Rob Zombie did was he looked into, in 1978, you couldn't show a kid killing. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
And in what was it, 2000, and I don't know when that.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It was from the 2000s, and.
Yep.
And he showed it from the perspective of this little kid going warped and twisted. So it was almost more disturbing than just, Michael Myers strapping on the mask and running around chasing, Jamie Lee Curtis down.
Oh, yeah.
So there are some things that are like, and The Hills That Have Eyes. The first remake for that one was actually pretty cool.
And disturbing,
And disturbing, yeah. So, I mean,
There's a lot more they can do on film now than they could do years ago, which I get, which some movies need to be updated, I think. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but...
Like Psycho?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to throw that
No,
one in.
I mean, hey, but see, that's, again, everybody's opinion varies too, right? Like what I might hate, you might like, and it is what it is. But I mean, there's just some movies that we all have to agree that are shit, like the Frankenstein remake that had Robert De Niro in it. It's fucking terrible.
Oh god, yeah.
The Nightmare on Elm Street, terrible. And the box office numbers show this. People don't want to fucking see a lot of these. Dawn of the Dead, as much as I fucking hate to say it, did awesome, and it people fucking love it. But the thing that I hate too is that when I hear a lot of younger people talk about it, they don't talk about the original. They talk about the Zack Snyder one, and that's what bothers me too. It's like, if you're gonna make a remake, then like I don't want people to forget about the old stuff too.
Yeah, well, like to us when we watch the original Dawn of the Dead, it's like looking into a time capsule. You kind of laugh a little bit when you see the shag carpet and the bell bottoms and the leisure suits, but you know goddamn well that on Sunday afternoons for Sunday dinner when your family came over, everybody was wearing those freaking clothes. So it doesn't look like it's so weird and alien, you know. So maybe the young kids are like looking at this stuff going, well, I relate to that. Whereas we fucking, oh, look at that. And my favorite line out of Dawn of the Dead is when they're flying in or in on the chopper in the like in the one from '79. Is he goes, what is that? Yeah. He goes, oh, it must be one of those new shopping malls. You had to explain to people what a shopping mall was, you know. So I mean, I don't know. There was just something about that, but you know, but and that like look at another thing that you know, they're not remakes, but they're trying to keep the franchise going. Is Star Wars. Yep. Look at the struggle they're having to replace that guy right there. Yeah. When you have the penultimate villain, like Darth Vader is 70 years of cinematic villainy rolled into one being, and how do you top that? You get Darth Ben, right? You know, I mean, so I mean, there's a lot of things about keeping franchises alive, as opposed to telling new stories. That's really hard to do, and it just pales.
That's one of the big bones to contend with, right? Is you can have a franchise, you can come up with new material, right? You can take risks. But I think there was something that happened, and I know you guys were probably very aware of this. There was a point when studios decided, someone had that great marketing idea that, hey, these restricted movies are leaving out a whole, you know, every human under the age of 18 is being excluded from this. So why don't we tone it down a little bit, tone it down a little, and then we can let PG-14s or PG-13. I don't even know what the ratings are anymore.
Yeah, you know what you just said something that reminded me of Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa once said, "Look at the way the music industry was in the '60s and '70s. You had a bunch of cigars chomping old guys who didn't know what the fuck they were putting out. They're like, well, I don't know. Sounds weird to me, but let's put it out and try it." And the fucking look at the music that got put out, right? Like you're talking experimental shit, fucking this crazy stuff that people will be listening to for 400 years. And then they brought in the hip kid from the coffee room and said, "Hey, we need a hip kid that knows what they're listening to." And he was like, "They won't listen to this. They won't listen to that." And it turned into the fucking 80s. You know, maybe that's what happened with the same thing with movies, right? Well, how do we get this out to more people? But
that's the other thing too. Is movies are way more expensive to make now. So I mean, they have to make them. Well, I think they've gone past that phase now. I think since Deadpool came out and they took a risk with that movie, that they realized that they can make their money back on a rated R movie. But up until then, a lot of studios wouldn't risk it. You know what I mean? And you get the PG-rated horror movies, and
they're just terrible.
Yeah, because they needed the bigger audience. So
I love Deadpool, and you know me, I fucking hate. I don't really like superhero movies.
But would Deadpool be as good if it was PG?
No
fucking.
It wouldn't
way.
be. No. And these guys blowing limbs off and shooting his dick off.
Look at how many movies come out now that are rated R after the original, like Deadpool, because it took a chance. But yeah, I mean, so many movies or studios were afraid to lose budget. Or make their budget back, so they have to open it up to a wider audience. So they dull it down.
Yeah, maybe this is a positive step.
Yeah.
Especially because horror movies are the movies that are supposed to be restricted. Yeah. I mean, horror movies got really big, or B movies, blood, like splatter movies and stuff like that. They featured things that you wouldn't see in a normal movie. There would be titties and blood and murder and
dude,
all sorts of things.
I just watched like the first 6 of these.
Oh, yeah.
You know how much tits and ass is in these first fucking. I was like, that's why we were fucking watching those movies when
Oh,
we were
yeah.
12 on the box, checking them out. Cause like, oh my
Movies in.
god,
Yeah.
I remember, Saturday.
the credits roll.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, first fucking scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
I remember
3 minutes
Saturday mornings,
Jeez.
and I was probably younger than 12. I was probably more like 7, 6, and 8, somewhere in that range, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And I lived in a different geographical area than you guys. I was more GTA back then,
Yeah.
and so being that way, instead of having Detroit channels, I had Buffalo channels. So every Saturday, I'd be sitting in front of my TV
Yeah.
on WUTV Buffalo 29.
Yeah.
Did you get Sir Graves Ghastly as well? There?
I don't remember that.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that asked a few times.
Because I thought you guys got that down that way.
Yeah, that
Because
one.
we grew up with Superhost Cleveland, right? And then, but there was, if you had the box, you could get Sir Graves Ghastly, and I thought he was from that neck of the woods somewhere. But
Well,
I don't know.
as this experience that I would have, and this is going back, I don't want to say how many years, but it was somewhere in the early 80s. But on television, you used to see 12 o'clock, they would have their Saturday matinee movie,
Yep.
and it would be something like the original Friday the 13th. Uncut, unedited, there would be swearing. I saw my first breasts. I saw my first decapitation. You know,
The good old days.
so Jay's, the head comes off and it goes flying in the air.
Yeah.
I still remember that,
Yeah.
and that was like, whoa, I saw that on TV.
Yeah, so you popped a boner and then you freaked out when the head came off. Oh, I don't know what to feel right now because I'm only a kid. I've been warped and twisted by this stuff.
Oh shit.
I think I just got a big smile.
Yeah.
Somehow shaped my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly puts you into a different class of film goer
Yeah.
at that time, right?
Yeah.
But,
Well, yeah, and it's true. I mean, we grew up in a different era.
Things were more
See,
permissive.
we're lucky because we're seeing both eras of,
yeah.
like good old practical effects, and then we've lived through the shitty beginning of CGI, and now we're getting back into where there's a good balance of CGI and practical, which we'll talk about in another episode. But it's just it all again. It with the remakes stuff. Some stuff has to be updated. I get that, but some movies are so fucking iconic. If there was if there was a panel of people who could say yes, you can remake that, and no, you cannot touch that movie. That's it, because there's been some movies that have been remade. You know what I mean? But
How many mummies have come out?
Oh,
I haven't followed them, but I know there was the Brendan Fraser set, and then there was another set that came out
Yeah.
just recently,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
supposed to be ongoing.
that was supposed to be part of the. See, that's the good thing, and some people are standing up because the Mummy and Dracula Untold, which I didn't think was that bad of a movie, but the Mummy and they were going to do Creature from the Black Lagoon, and then the next one they were going to put out was The Invisible Man, and after the Mummy came out, they scrapped it because that was going to be Universal's The Dark Universe,
Right, yeah, yeah.
And they scrapped it because Dracula Untold did well, but old Tom Cruise didn't pull it off, so they put that one on the shelf and The Invisible Man. Whether they'll make it down the road. I
Tom
don't know.
Cruise was going to be in that?
No, Tom Cruise is in The Mummy,
He was in the Mummy.
and it tanked.
Yeah,
It was
because
a remake.
it turned into
Yeah.
a Tom Cruise action
Yeah.
flick.
Oh,
So,
jeez.
you know what I
Why
mean?
would
I-
you pick that
I
fucking
didn't
one
see
to
it, but I saw
Yeah.
something on it.
So, I mean, point in case right there, I guess that's actually a third remake. But, so live and learn. But see, then that puts studios back into the thing as, even with Star Wars,
get safe.
they've put some other movies on hold
Yeah.
that they were going to make. Like Boba Fett's on hold right now, which is too bad because I would have really liked to see that one. And I think they're still up in the air about the Ewan McGregor, Ben Kenobi's.
Oh, yeah.
They might.
No, I would like to see that one.
Yeah,
Like
so
Obi-Wan Kenobi. I liked Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
I
so
thought
did
he
So
did a
did I.
great job.
but it's just it's all the big studios. They get all sketchy when their big budget remake blockbusters.
Yeah, because they want to pour it in. That's why you would take somebody like Tom Cruise and put him in a mummy movie. I mean, what's he gonna do? His own stunts, like getting locked in a fucking mummy sarcophagus and tumbling down a hill.
See, but look at this too, because they're remaking Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh,
another fucking movie. And,
that was a fantastic
and The Rock,
movie as a young
it
man.
is. It's one of my favorite movies. And again, it should be like The Thing. And Halloween. But
well, that's John Carpenter. He doesn't seem to care. He just wants to make cash.
Yeah.
I think he's grabbing cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to agree.
He hasn't had a good fucking movie.
Like, look at the Fog remake.
Since Jesus, don't say that.
What a fucking terrible movie.
That's fucking horrible. That was the worst fucking remake ever.
Yeah.
He ruined the greatest fucking ghost story he ever did.
Absolutely.
But I mean, like, what was he? He's doing that with everything. Now imagine if he fucking remade. Shit, the one with the green goop in the container. I can't remember the name of it right now. Shit, where they're in the church. You know,
Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness. Like, why?
Don't fucking ever touch that movie.
Why would you touch that?
Yeah.
Why would you touch that?
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
You know.
And right now,
and Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, but
it's like remaking Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
He's another one. Like, I mean, I know I used Indiana Jones and those other guys as iconic characters.
Yeah.
There's an iconic McCready, Snake Plissken,
Yeah.
and fucking little. I can't remember his name in Little Big Trouble in Little China.
What is his name? I'll think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's iconic.
Jack Burton.
Jack Burton.
Yeah. Yeah. It's but yeah, there's just, again, there should be a panel with us on it and a few other horror, you know.
Yeah, we'll give you our numbers there,
Yeah.
John.
It's like,
Fucking keep you on fucking Skywalker Island with fucking George Lucas
yeah,
there.
but there should
Put you
be
out
some
pasture.
there should be some sort of a board that say, yeah, you can remake that, but you can't remake that. But again, going back to Jaws, what you said originally, like Steven Spielberg has come out and said that he owns the rights to Jaws. See, the problem with some movies is directors or whoever owns
They lose it.
30 doesn't own it again,
Yeah.
and then the big studios buy it up. You know, what I mean, that's why Night of the Living Dead's been made six times
Yeah,
now.
because it's public domain.
So you can do whatever the fuck you want with it.
So we could remake it.
Yeah, you could. But again, the Tom Savini remake was absolutely fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I
It was
thought
Tom
it was,
Savini.
but it's Tom
Yeah,
Savini. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So again, it falls back to who's making it as well. But
Thank you, Tom.
yeah, but Steven Spielberg, back to Jaws, has openly said that he will never allow Jaws to be remade. So thank God, because I mean that movie.
Well, why would you? I mean,
There's absolutely no reason on this planet to remake
Yeah.
Jaws.
who are you ever gonna get to play Quint?
Nobody.
Yeah. Robert Shaw is Quint.
Yeah, so.
Okay, that's it. And Hooper. I mean,
Yeah.
there's never gonna be those three guys again. You know, it would never be as good.
No, it absolutely won't be. So,
yeah.
yeah. So again, I mean, it can go either way. I mean, you know, yes, remakes should be. You know, I think what we get from this episode is yes, remakes should. Some should be remade to bring them into this generation.
Tread carefully.
Exactly.
Tread-
Where
yeah.
other ones, if
Tread
you're just
carefully.
gonna,
Respect the art and the iconic
Yeah.
parts of horror, and then tread carefully.
Yeah.
I think if you take a look at all the failed remakes, and you should say,
Yeah.
hello, this is my cautionary tale to you.
Yeah.
You know, as you're saying here, when you have something that's iconic, something that's burned into the popular culture, and as unpopular culture as horror is,
Yeah.
it is ingrained in there. And you really have to, tread lightly on what you're going to remake and how you're going to show some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because, if you think of the movie posters from, Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, those guys survived 70 years, right? Some of these guys will too, like Kurt Russell and Harrison Ford and people like that have got these iconic roles, So I think they should take Wes Craven and Mr. Carpenter and George Lucas and put them on the
and it's just to kind of close out here. It is blatantly obvious when they just do it for a cash grab.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Well, yeah. So.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, let's leave it there. Obviously, as most of the topics we talk about are ones we're going to come back to. So, Okay. So that's the first episode in the can here. And again, if you guys have any ideas that you want us to talk about, and you sent me a lot already, which is awesome. So. Eventually we'll get to them, you know what I mean? But we all have our topics here that we want to talk about, so we're going to bang through some of them, and then we'll get to your stuff, and then eventually we're going to live stream this. So once we get closer, to 1,000, we might do an early few, you know what I mean? Once we get but the everyday more subscribers, and it's fantastic. So keep your comments coming in, and yeah, guys, any closing comments? Anything? No.
All I can think of is stay scared.
Stay scared.